Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's lesson on multiplying integers. Um, we've been working with adding and subtracting integers, which was kind of a new ball game for us because it's the first time we'd added and subtracted negative numbers. And today we're going to discuss how to do that, how to work with integers when multiplying them. And I actually think that when you multiply integers, the rules are a lot easier than adding and subtracting. I'll give you the chance to see what you think at the end. And our key idea today, um, really, it's a pretty simple rule to follow, and I'll kind of explain how the rule works in just a little bit. But for now, here's the rules. When you multiply integers with the same sign, the product, so the answer to that multiplication problem, is positive. Okay, so in this case, we have a positive 2 times a positive 3. That's the same sign, they're both positive. So when you have the same sign, your answer is positive. Notice in this case, we have a negative times a negative. Negative 2 times negative 3. Well, those two integers have the same sign, they're both negative. So your answer then would be positive because the numbers that you're multiplying have the same sign. They're both negative. Now it's different when one is positive and one is negative. Now your answer is negative. Okay? And in this case, we have negative times a positive. That's going to give you a negative answer. So the way that I kind of remember this, the shortcut that I remember is same sign equals a positive answer, and different signs equals a negative answer. That's how this is kind of my shortcut method of remembering it. All right, let's see an example here. Example 1 says find negative 5 times negative 6. So the first thing I'm going to think about is, do these two numbers have the same sign or do they have different signs? Well, a negative and a negative, they have the same sign. So my answer, I'm just going to write this reminder, my answer should be positive. And then what is 5 times 6? And 5 times 6 is 30. So my answer would be positive 30. Remember, you could write this if you wanted to, but we don't have to. That's just another step. If we see 30, we just assume it's positive 30. Okay. And in the second example here, it's the opposite of that. So multiplying integers with different signs. So 3 is right next to negative 4. Remember, that implies multiplication. This is a positive number and this is a negative number. So we have different signs. So my answer is going to be negative. And 3 times 4 is 12. So negative 12 would be my answer because they have different signs. Same with the case in letter B. This is a negative and I'm multiplying by a positive, so they have different signs. One is negative, one's positive. So my answer is going to be negative, and 7 times 4 is 28. So negative 28 would be my final answer there. Now, you might be kind of wondering, why is that? What's the case there? Why does that make sense? Why does that work? Well, remember, back when you first learned about multiplication, which was probably in, I don't know, maybe you started in 3rd or 4th grade, somewhere around there. And what multiplication is it's repeated addition, is all multiplication is. So if I were to think about 3 times 2, remember, that is 2 being repeated or being added 3 times. So that's the same thing as 2 plus 2 plus 2, right? 3 2's being added together. And 2 plus 2 plus 2 would give you 6, which is the same thing as 3 times 2. So now, what would be different if I told you we had 3 times negative 2? Well, now that's the same thing as -2 plus -2 plus -2. Remember, when you're adding integers and they have the same signs, you keep the signs and then add your numbers. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, so my answer would be -6. And look at there, it'd be the same because they have different signs. 3 times 2 is 6, and different signs would give you -6. Think about it, if you wanted to think about it on a number line, right, we'd have, if you started at 0, and then you had -1, -2, 3, 4, 5, 6. -2 would be right here, plus another -2 would be -4, plus another -2 would be -6. You're getting more negative as you add more negatives, right? So that's kind of the reasoning behind why when you multiply integers with different signs, you get a negative answer. Because remember, multiplication is just repeated addition. So go ahead and pause here to try numbers 1 through 8 on your own section. All right, let's see what we come up with. 25, same sign, positive answer. Same sign, positive answer, should get 44. Number 3, same sign, should get a positive answer, and 9. Again, same sign, positive answer, 56. Okay, all of these had the same signs, positive times a positive, positive times a positive, should get a positive answer. These had two negatives multiplied together. Again, they are the same sign, so that should result in a positive answer. And the next ones are different, so we've got -24, -24. Here we have anything times 0 is always 0, so you can kind of fast forward there. And in this case, we have 3 numbers, so we'll see that here in the next a little bit too, but just take it one at a time, work from left to right. A negative times a negative here, but these two have the same sign, so we'd end up with a positive 35. And then we have positive 35 times -4. So now we have different signs, so my answer is going to be negative. And 35 times 4 would give me 140, so -140. So try to keep track of your positives and negatives when you have more than one number being multiplied. More than 2, I should say. You got 3 in this case. All right, let's see how using exponents now will affect it. Because after all, remember, using exponents is also multiplication. When it says evaluate -2 squared, that means -2 times -2. Your exponent tells you how many times your base is being multiplied. There's 2 in this case. So -2 times -2, we have got this same sign. It means positive 4. Okay, for letter B, it's a little bit different because notice we don't have these parentheses like we did up here. What this problem is saying is it's saying 5 squared and the opposite of that. Okay, so first you do 5 times 5. That's what this shows. And then the parentheses goes on the outside of that. So 5 times 5 is 25, but it's going to be a -25. You just kind of bring that negative along for the ride. Okay, so notice there's a big difference here. Okay, let's write ourselves a little note. Difference with parentheses. So that's really something to pay attention to in your homework. If it has a parentheses, it means -2 times -2. If it doesn't, it means 5 squared. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then the opposite of that. So I bring that negative along, and your answer would be -25. And in letter C, we have -4 cubed, or -4 to the third power. Okay, so -4 times -4 times -4. Okay. Notice it's to the third power, so it's being multiplied by itself 3 times. So this -4 times -4, same sign would give me a positive 16. And then I have positive 16 times -4. So now I have different signs. So my answer would be negative, and 16 times 4 would give me 64. So -64 for my answer. Go ahead and pause for 9, 10, 11, and 12 with the on your owns. Okay, let's check and see how you did. For number 9, this means -3 times -3. So it should give you a positive answer and positive 9. Here we have -2 times -2 times -2. So this would be a positive 4 times -2, which would give you -8. Number 11, 7 squared would be 49, and then bring that negative along for the ride because it's not in the parentheses. And number 12, we've got 6 to the third power, which is 6 times 6 times 6. We'll give you 36 times 6, which would give you 216. And then bring that negative along for the ride since it's not in parentheses. All right, finishing up with the last example here, the real life application. It says the bar graph shows the number of taxis a company has in service. The number of taxis decreases by the same amount each year for 4 years. Find the total change. All right, so we know that each year we have 50 fewer taxis, and that happens for 4 years. So all we need to do to find our total change would be take the change per year, which is 50 taxis per year, but it's 50 fewer taxis. So I'm going to represent that with a negative sign, 50 fewer, times by the number of years, which was 4 years. Okay, so 50 times 4 will give me 200, and then they have different signs. This one is negative, this one's positive, so give me a negative answer. And what does that represent? Well, that represents that there are 200 less taxis in 4 years. Okay, go ahead and try number 13, just like we did number 4. It says a manatee population decreases by 15 manatees each year for 3 years. So decreases would be -15. Then I'm going to multiply that by 3 years to give me -45 manatees. Okay, so that does it for 11.4. Biggest takeaway, I think, for you to remember is same sign, positive answer, different signs, negative answer. All right? Let me know if you have more questions. I will see you guys next time.